Hey everyone, welcome back to the development module. Today we'll be going over how to master Superwall. Superwall is the paywall provider and is how you'll be tracking your revenue per user, your lifetime value, your A/B testing, how many people actually reaching the paywall, testing pricing, etc., etc. And is very essential in order to be really profitable and to improve everything else in the business side of things. So this is less about the product, more about the business side of things. So we'll go straight through it. This is the Superwall dashboard at superwall.com. I'm already logged in, but if you're not logged in yet, just like create an account. Very simple stuff. So I'll run you through the main dashboard. Top left is the proceeds today. So it's the amount of revenue minus Apple's cut, whether that be 15 or 30%. They take 30% from me. So my gross today is about maybe 11 or 12K. And after their taxes, we're sitting at like 8.2K for the day, which isn't great, but hey, like is what it is. That's not fucking important right now. Okay, so new users. This is how many people in the last 24 hours have downloaded your app. So about 3.2K. This is how many people have converted in the last 24 hours, including free trials. So it can be a bit misleading at times. I have a hard paywall, but for under 18s, as you can see, we have a free trial. So that's why only 200 conversions, which is quite a lot, only amassed to $700, which is like $3 per user. Doesn't make sense. That's because there's a free trial. And yeah, very simple stuff. The next one is initial conversions. So how many people downloaded the app within the last 24 hours that ended up paying within the 24 hours. This number here is like how many people today have converted. They could have downloaded it last week or the week before, whatever. So the paywall rate is also a very important metric. The paywall rate displays what percent of users that have downloaded your app ended up reaching the paywall. And usually with a long onboarding, you can expect a high drop off. You want to be around the 85 to 90% range. That's like the sweet spot. At the same time, I'm not too bothered with 83% because all the people that had low intent and weren't going to buy from me anyway would have dropped off. All of these people came to the end and they were super prepped to pay, and that's why our conversion rate is about 20%, which is on the far right side. I'm just gonna take a sip of water real quick. Okay, so let's get started. This is Quitter's breakdown, and what we do is we present paywalls by age. So on the back end, and I'll show you how to do this as well, we pretty much ask for your age during the onboarding, and whatever age you're in will display a custom paywall. Now we don't necessarily change the prices because that might be against their terms of service, but what we do is we see the conversion rates of different age groups. And we didn't do this for a long time, but ever since we started doing it, I've been learning a hell of a lot more about our demographic and like how much intent there is based on different age ranges. So for example, age 23 to 28 seemingly has one of the highest conversion rates at 17.6% paying. So under 18s have 17.2%, but they're free trial. So getting almost 18% paying is insane, and shows that this is the age demographic that we should be focusing on. And this really helps in our marketing because let's say we know this is the most profitable niche, most profitable age range. I'm just going to find creators that serve viewers in that age range, or I'm going to target Facebook and Meta ads in that age range and eventually be more profitable. Very, very simple stuff. What's also interesting to note is under 18s, at least for my app. So this is very subjective, but for my app, most of the traffic comes from under 18s. Whereas even though 23 to 28 year olds bring in the most revenue, under 18s serve as a massive volume for downloads. All right, so now how do you start testing and what are the key metrics to look for when it comes to testing different paywalls and pricing? So the first thing I do when I'm beginning is start out in the templates category. So on the left side of Superwall over here, there is a button called templates. Click onto that and look for something that interests you. So what you're looking for is something that appeals to your kind of niche. So if it's consumer utility, for example, I'd copy this one, Homework AI. It's very clear, very simple. Or if it's like a chat-based app, maybe I'd choose the Step Saga, this one right here. Or, you can make it whatever you want. Depending on the design of your app, depending on the demographic you're targeting, choose anything that interests you. It's not really a big deal. We'll be testing these paywalls anyway, so if one doesn't convert, we can always test another. We can test a bunch in conjunction, and you can find out what's the most optimal for you. So what Superwall does with these templates, by the way, is all the successful apps found in paywallscreens.com. So they've compiled a bunch of different paywalls. They've also listed the revenue these apps are making. You'd probably find Quitter here, I'm sure, as well. Yep, well, it says I'm making 30K a month, which isn't true. But this is one of our old paywalls, and it's like, or maybe Cal AI. We'll use Cal AI for this example. So it says they're making 200K a month, but this is the paywall they were using. And it's very simple, and you can copy it in the templates category. So for example, the Quitter one is right here. It's called Capture AI for some reason, but it's fine. All you need to do is just click on it and then click Use Template. But because we're doing a Cal AI clone, I want to pick a paywall that's kind of better for that. So I'm going to choose. I think I'm going to do the Homework AI one. So scroll back up to the top where Homework AI is and click on it, click Use Template. Super simple. Next, it'll show you like a Figma kind of breakdown of like what all the elements are. All you need to do is change the text. So I'm going to call this Cal AI at the top. Cal AI is not pro, but we'll keep it. And then the bullet points. So I'm going to write track calories in one snap. Lose weight easy and fast. And of course, Hunter or Blake would have covered this in the design section, but you want to kind of show language where it's like, okay, I'm reading this paywall screen. This app is going to change my life. I'm going to track calories. I'm going to lose weight easily. I'm going to become the best version of myself. All I got to do is pay $20 a year. And if you can convince that across, then you're going to be super successful. But again, like we're going to show you how to test these different paywalls so you're not working in the dark. I always recommend striving for data. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So look, I picked a paywall. I'm going to pick a product. So a product also contains a price. So they're kind of like the same thing. So I'm going to choose, like, let's say $4.99 a week, or secondary, maybe $14.99 a month. And I'm curious, like, which one's going to convert the most, like what product's going to sell the most. Very simple. Just save this. Go to campaigns, create new campaign, and let's call it paywall test. Next thing I want to do is click onto no paywalls, add paywall, and then just add the most recent one. So it's the Homework AI template. So now that's showing to 100% of users, and the results breakdown will be on this category. So what I want to do now is make a more informed decision. So how do I do that? I go back to templates. I go back to paywalls. I click this duplicate button right here. Duplicate. And then I just duplicate it. I'm going to call this $29.99 a year test. Of course, by the way, you need all of these products already built out in App Store Connect, which I've showed you how to do in a previous step. So all you need to do is go back to App Store Connect, go back to subscriptions, and then create a new subscription, and like just write whatever price you want to test. Let that get approved by Apple. It takes probably less than a day. Then you can use it in Superwall and start testing. Pretty simple stuff. So, okay, now we've completely duplicated the paywall. So this minimizes other factors. So for example, if I were to test a different paywall design with a different price, then I'm playing with two factors. Maybe the original Homework AI template would have been better because of the pricing, but because I changed the design on this one, this performs better. Make sense? So even though the pricing is cheaper and everyone's looking at the ARPU and they're like, oh, the average revenue per user is actually increased, because you've added an additional factor, you're not going to have like a clear answer on what is the most optimal paywall setup for you. But anyways, back to the products. I'm going to just change the product to $29.99 a year, and then I'm going to keep the monthly price. Or actually, I'm going to do the weekly price because it's more penetrable now. It's like, okay, you can pay $4.99 a week, which adds up to like $20 a month, or you can pay $29.99 and get the entire year. So this is a great test, and because like you're kind of covering all areas. and you'll find out very fast like what your demographic is and what they would pay for, what they would afford. So boom, we save that and go back into campaigns, go to the new one called paywall test, and then just click add paywall and select the brand new $29.99 year test or whatever you called it. Now, usually I would do an 80-20 split if I have a pre-existing successful paywall, because I don't want to mess up revenue too much. But because these are fresh, brand new, I'm willing to do 50-50 and see which out of the 50% of traffic generates the most revenue. So I just click save, save again, and boom. Now, anytime you run this campaign, so by the way, sorry, you got to do placements, and this is where you call the campaign name. So I'm going to call it paywall test, for example, create paywall test. And whenever you call that in the CalAI code, so superwall.present share.register. So you have to make sure this now says, we'll make it bigger, paywall test. And you'll see when we get back to coding later, that this will now display this campaign with the split testing, and now anyone that downloads the app will see either these two paywalls. Okay, great. That's the setup. Now all you want to do is wait for the data to start rolling in so you can make a better informed decision about which one you want to keep, and then you can drive more traffic to a different one, and then you can do additional more tests. Very simple. Again, I would suggest maybe different design this time rather than different pricing. So if you've tested the pricing, now it's time to test design, and I'd pick something completely different, maybe something that has a graphic on it, maybe something that feels more engaging, like this, for example. And then we change the text to track calories, and then we change the pricing. Maybe we offer a free trial, whatever. Pretty simple. I've explained the steps. You can just choose which product you prefer, and do the same thing. Go back into campaigns, go back into paywall test, go into paywalls, and just add this brand new paywall, and then click the pen, change the amount of people you want to see the new paywall, and boom, let the data start rolling in. What I would recommend is wait for like 1,000 users. Usually at my scale, I'd wait for like 1,000 to maybe 3,000 users before I make a decision whether a paywall is good. What's not good is if you make a decision based on limited data. So for example, if I have extremely high quality traffic, like I've like paid an influencer, a lot of people trust this influencer, and now they have a bunch of traffic coming in that is really high intent, and then this paywall is of course doing super well. Like, how much of that can you attribute to the traffic rather than the actual paywall? So this is why you should wait an extended period of time before coming to conclusions about what is the most optimal setup for you. And I would never get stagnant. I would always be testing. I'd always be trying new things, because like at my scale now, so I make $500,000 a month, like a small 10% increase is $50,000 of additional bottom line revenue every single month. So that's just some perspective. And 10% on a $20 plan is an extra $2. Like, it seems very marginal or nominal, but it adds up big time. And an extra 10% at CalAI's level is like $500,000 to $350,000 a month. So just an example. So yeah, I'm going to show you now how to study the data and how to make the informed decisions. And of course, I can't load a bunch of data to this because I'm not going to launch this paywall, but I can show you some tests I've ran and how I justify what is doing well and what isn't doing well. So we'll go to the 50 off, the discount button, and we have 3 different tests. Well, we have 2 tests. So we'll look at both of these. So one of the tests is you open a special gift. It's very like engaging, super engaging. And then you click claim your limited offer now. The other one is getting hit straight with a one-time offer, very clean. You have a countdown on the screen, counting down from 5 minutes. Claim your offer now. And yeah, let's see if there's a pricing difference as well. No, the same price. But these are the tests. So just a design test, and we'll go to the results tab, and you can see very clearly the different results. So if we ignore this one, let's just let's just do these two. So focus on the ones that are checked. The one with the present is making like 10% to 15% less than the instant one-time offer with the 5-minute countdown. You see that? And that's because I'm judging the ARPU, which I believe is the most important metric, because this means how much revenue are you generating per viewer. So like, let's say 10 people viewed a screen and, you know, one paid $20, you're making $2 per view, which is about exactly what this is making. So on that note, if your goal is revenue, getting the ARPU up as much as possible, even if that means the conversion rate suffers, isn't an issue. So you can see there's like a 3% difference between this conversion rate and the other conversion rate between this discount. So this seems better, and it actually is better. Sorry, that it actually is better. It has a higher conversion rate and it makes more money per user, which kind of makes sense, because if you have a high conversion rate, usually more people are paying, which means there's more revenue per user. So actually, yeah, no, this is right. But in some instances, like this top one, and I know we have limited data, but this is an 8.7% conversion rate, so very low compared to the others, but it has 2.24 estimated dollars revenue per user. Very interesting stuff. So even though this is almost half, it's still making more than the previous one. So again, to clarify, if you're optimizing for revenue, if you're trying to make as much money as possible, focus on ARPU, even if that means at the expense of conversion rate. Even if that means like you sell $100 a year and only 5% of people pay for it, but you make way more money per user, because if you were selling like a $5 a week plan, you would have maybe a super high conversion rate, but your average revenue per user wouldn't be that high, which means it maths out that the $100 a year would be way more beneficial for you if you're focusing on revenue. Actually, boom, just forgot. Massive thing I've got to tell you guys. One sec. All right, lock in. We're not done. I'm about to make you thousands of dollars more a day at scale, or at least boost your revenue by 20 to 25 to 40%. It's that drastic, boys. It's that drastic. Ready? You see this top campaign, transaction abandon, right here? Yeah. So this has a 25 or 23.1% conversion rate. That means 1 in 4 people pay when they see this screen. That's how overpowered it is. So I'm going to tell you what it does, how to set it up, and a really good paywall for it. Okay, let's go. So what you do is you go to campaigns, new campaign, and you search, you just call this what? Transaction abandon. I'm going to call it transaction abandon 2 because I already have one. And then for placements, you do transaction abandon. Okay? So this is a default Superwall event name, and you don't need to make it yourself, and you can already see the amount of people that have triggered this event in the last 24 hours, which is approximately 2,000 people. Now what this means is anyone that's clicked on the paywall and has clicked continue, and like Apple have prompted them to pay, and then they change their mind and tap out of it, yeah, they get hit with a second paywall, which has a massive discount, and it's usually around 50%. Now, these people are extremely high intent because they were about to pay. Maybe you don't know why they didn't pay, but maybe pricing was an issue. So the whole strategy after you've made this campaign, which I'll show you this one, is to hit them with like a FOMO offer. So this is my FOMO offer. One-time offer, 80% off forever. And very intentional language, this offer won't be there once you close it. You see this right here? Very, very intentional. Now what this does is, you know, imagine the flow. Someone's about to pay for the Kali AI clone we've just created, and they really want to track their calories, they really want to change their life, they really want to lose weight. But then they get hit with the paywall and they're like, okay, $30 a year, let's do it. Fuck it, let's do it. Click continue. And then the dollar sign comes up on the screen. It says $29.99 Cal AI. And it says double tap to pay. And then the user's like, actually, it seems like a lot of money. And I don't really spend money on apps. I only spend money on food and other stuff. So I'm going to tap out of this. As soon as they tap out of it, they get hit with a one-time offer. 80% off forever. All right? And it just hits them with a fat discount. So, yeah, I mean, as the numbers don't lie, I've spoke to Zach, who owns Cal AI. It's boosted their revenue by almost 40%. It's been my main revenue driver every single day, and it's probably the most essential part of Superwall if you want to be successful long term. One of the best decisions I've ever made. So, and real quick, I'll just show you a template you can use for that. So if you go to templates and scroll down, there should be one. Okay, here's one, for example. This is a bunch of code, but it does actually count down. And you can kind of get an idea. It's a one-time offer. Just use this template and then add it to the campaign like I've showed you previously. Or this is another one-time offer. You will never see this again with a massive discount. And I would always discount by at least like 50%. So the main paywall is like the main paywall presents you with a product that costs $29.99 a year. The discount gives you an offer for $19.99 a year, which is, you know, about 50%. So yeah. Anyways, that is a high level overview. I think I've covered all bases when it comes to Superwall. This is like this, I guess, the most important and essential stuff. I wouldn't overcomplicate it. It's just, you know, product, paywall, pricing, testing, data, and then you make a decision. And I would recommend just keep testing. There's always ways to optimize the revenue. I think I said this previously, but like a 10% increase, like taking an LTV of a user from $20 to $22 is a 10% increase, which seems nominal, which seems marginal, but I'm making $500,000 a month. So a 10% increase is $50,000 a month. And it goes like the same way for like Cal AI. Like if they boost like conversions or boost like revenue by 10% by just playing around with the paywall and the language and how they are framing things, that 10% increase is hundreds of thousands. That's a fucking Lamborghini Huracan Evo a month, just in like small, really easy changes. So yeah, as I said, covered all my bases here. It is a pretty high level overview, but this is all the important stuff. And you know, I've come this far. I'll show the revenue just because I don't really care. This is proceeds, by the way. Oh, that fucking sucks. All right, 90 days. Give me something juicy. All right, almost $1 million in the last 90 days. It was better than this. We're having a slow month. Point is, you know, I've come this far with all the knowledge I just shared with you. And as you can see, Transaction Abandon has made miles more than any other campaign I've ever run, just for perspective. So yeah, keep killing it, boys. Much love. Peace.